يكن يومك للشعب.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Don't you just hate it? Every time you switch on the TV, scroll through Facebook, or read a newspaper, it's Muslims have done this and Muslims have done that. They're barbaric, this religion is dangerous, etc., etc., etc. The saddest thing is that so many people out there believe it. It's people like you and I who need to dismantle these misconceptions by showing how beautiful Islam is. If it wasn't for such amazing dawah organizations out there, many people wouldn't be Muslim today. One such amazing organization is the Islamic Diversity Center. For over 17 years now, they've been building bridges within communities and calling people towards Islam through education, awareness, engagement, and empowerment. Their amazing work has resulted in hundreds of people accepting Islam and thousands more understanding that Islam is not about killing and murder. Rather, it is a peaceful religion full of understanding, harmony, and worship. In order to continue guiding the masses, they urgently need to raise £50,000. That's just 500 people donating £100 each. Now, as Muslims, if we can't sacrifice our time and resources to call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then at least we should sacrifice a tiny percentage of our wealth, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. Please donate £100 today and earn Sadaqah Jariyah on your scale of good deeds from now until the end of the Day of Judgment, where your only hope of entering Jannah is through the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please, lastly, hit the share button. Wajazakumullahu khair.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're watching Newcastle Fast FM. This is the Late Show live. Every night from midnight onwards, we're going to be here talking about different topics with different guests. I'm your host, Abu Tayyib, and we have our co-host with us for tonight, Brother Jamal. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I understand that my Wi-Fi is not too great today, so I might just end up just being a spectator on this fantastic topic tonight, but I'm going to put as much input as I can. Walaikum salam rahmatullah. I'm looking forward to speaking to our Ustad today, Muwawiyah Tucker. MashaAllah.
Yeah, it's going to be good, man. Introduce him, Jamal. Introduce our guest, bro.
Well, yeah, so you probably do a better job than that, but it's our Muwawiyah Tucker, and mashallah, I don't know how you would like to describe yourself, but I know you're very active on the scenes, giving some great advice out there. I understand you're a Medina graduate as well, aren't you? And if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Did you hear us okay? Can you hear me okay? Okay, mashallah. Yeah, it's just stop me if I'm wrong in any way, but yeah, mashallah, we're looking forward to this. Good.
Yeah, man, he's great at giving advice. Well, I was just going to say, you said he gives good reminders and stuff like that. Most of his reminders that I ever hear about is Bitcoin, yeah? So we're going to discuss that tonight, inshallah. That's for sure. Okay, Muawiyah, let's introduce him, man. That's a good introduction, Jamal. Let's get Muawiyah on the scene, bro. Assalamu alaikum, Muawiyah. How you doing, brother?
Wa alaikum salam, alhamdulillah. How's my sound? Does it sound good?
It's all right. It's good, man. Glad to have you on the show, bro.
Alhamdulillah, exactly. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it, mashallah. I'm looking forward all week, thinking, yes, I'm going to sit down, Abu Tayyib, my man's Jamal, mashallah.
So let's start off by talking a little bit about you, bro. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, what you're doing. Give us a little bit of background, bro.
Okay, so I'm, as you know, Muwawiyah Tucker. I graduated from the Islamic University of Medina. Before that, even I accepted Islam while I was in college. So that was when I was, I think, 17 or 18, just over 20 years ago. And yeah, so I went to I studied Islamic Sharia, or I got a degree in Islamic law in Medina University. So that was 2008. So 2008, graduated, came back to UK, was excited to get busy teaching, educating people about Islam through the Arabic medium, Arabic language. That's where I established an institution called Arabic Courses to fundamentally to teach Arabic, and then from the Arabic to teach Islam. That was the vision, that's the idea. And to this day, alhamdulillah, now it's 2020. We're still teaching Arabic, still doing stuff, still keeping busy, alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So tell us a little bit about life before Shahada, yeah? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you was up to when you were, before you took Shahada, and what led you to take your Shahada.
Well, I mean, before Islam, so because I became Muslim so young, life before Islam wasn't that extensive. I mean, funny enough, I've actually been Muslim longer than I've not been Muslim, or before longer than I was Muslim. So Muslim at 17, I've been Muslim about 20 years now. So yes, I've been Muslim longer than I've been not Muslim. But yeah, so before that, I was pretty much into my gadgets, tech stuff, physics, maths, that kind of stuff. I had aspirations to be an astronaut. Inshallah, one day I still will be. One day, inshallah. If Elon Musk finishes his SpaceX program and gets us to Mars, inshallah, over there. That's basically really. I mean, that was my main thing. And as we know, I've done a few lectures with you in the universities up north where we talk about racism, and I mentioned that before I was Muslim, I was pretty much a racist. So alhamdulillah, Islam took me away from that and saved me from that madness. But yeah, that's kind of my life before Islam. On a I guess a theological level, I was a Christian, but you could say my Christianity, or my version of Christianity, was actually quite monotheistic, because I didn't believe that Isa did things of his own accord. I believed that he did his miracles by the permission of Allah. So that was kind of in line with what I ended up becoming as a Muslim. The only hang up we had at the time was that he was the son of God. So that was kind of the last remnants of that life, was that he was the son of God. But beyond that, he was still a creation of Allah, and he had no powers of his own, which is in line with Islam. So yeah, it was interesting how that was already, you can almost say, halfway there. It was just that last step to become Muslim.
Alhamdulillah. And how did your family take that when you decided that you wanted to take this path of Islam? How did they respond to it?
My parents.
Yeah, your parents, your family, just generally people that were close to you.
Funnily enough, I mean, I've heard other people who said similar things, that their parents weren't really bothered, and the same with mine. It was like okay, fair enough. If that's good for you. It wasn't that big a deal. Ironically, after I graduated from Medina, in that time when I was in Saudi, I was kind of trying to give dawah to my mum while I was there and whatnot, when I used to come back on holidays. And I think that dawah of kind of inspiring my mum about religion and whatnot actually caused her to go back to Christianity, kind of thing. She started going back to church.
Oh, really?
After I talking to her about religions. Yeah. I've heard that happen quite often when people give dawah to their families. That kind of inspires them to go back to what they was more than Islam. I don't know what it is, but maybe they kind of think to themselves that, it's good to be religious, and they go back to what they think is the right religion, right? Really thinking about whether it's right or wrong. So Mom kind of got into the church things, like God, and that's actually when it became an issue. She wasn't bothered before that. It's only bothered after that. She was quite upset with that. And then my sister became Muslim as well at that time, and then things really blew up. So when I was Muslim, it was like, yeah, if you want. When my sister became Muslim, it was like, okay, now you're brainwashing my daughter. Look what you're doing. But alhamdulillah, since then, dawah's been good. Mom's calmed down. Everything is good. My sister's still Muslim. Got children. Got married to a Muslim man. That's all good. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Is your mom any closer to the deen now, do you think?
Pardon,
do you think your mom's any closer?
You guys are breaking up. Can I say that again?
Do you think your mom is any closer to the deen now than she was before?
It's yes, yeah, because the thing is, as I've said to many people, when you take Shahada, obviously the family's the in a way, they're not happy with it. But generally speaking, when you start living your Islamic life, you start having children, you start seeing your children how well behaved they are and the rest of it. That kind of does more da'wah than anything you could say. So my mom's very proud of her grandchildren. She's very happy with all of them, and you could say, very much more closer to accept Islam than before. But it's now at the stage where it's not really thinking about anything really, just keeping up with the bills and the rest of it. So it's just that part of the dunya which is a bit distracting. So inshallah, the da'wah continues. The da'wah continues.
Inshallah, inshallah. So you mentioned you were you studied in Medina. You tell us a little bit about that. Share an interesting story from Medina, bro. Let us know what sticks out for you, your time in Medina in particular.
Well, this is I mean, one of the most important things I've taken from studying Medina, and I think this is something that almost everyone who studied anywhere, not just Medina, but studied anywhere, would say and agree with, is that you kind of learn how much you don't know. And I think that's one of the most important things you learn, is that the more you learn, the more you realize that the scope of knowledge out there is so vast, and what you really know is very little. So that was very humbling for me, because definitely when I first became Muslim, I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew everything, as you do. So you give dawah, you're very confident. The world can't stop you. And then when you go to Medina, you realize, wait, I don't know a lot. There's a lot of things I don't really know. So that was a very, very important thing about the whole process, is learning that the scope of Islam is very wide. The ulama have their station and their place for a reason. That's definitely one big thing. And also, I guess the other element is al-Islam as a whole. I mean, it's hard to explain in a few sentences or phrases, but when you study Islam to a deeper level, especially when it comes to the Sharia, which is our speciality, our takhasus, our speciality was Islamic law, you really do feel and realize and see firsthand how Islam is a religion for everything, every element of life, not just it's not just a religion for meditation and feeling good. It's not just a religion of collecting money in church once a week, or singing and dance. It's a religion for every single part of your life, whether it's to do with marriage, to do with transactions, to do with government, to do with every element or every facet or avenue of life. You find that Islam has touched upon it, elaborated on it, and given some benefit. I mean, just one example. One of the subjects I like studying is psychology, and the psychologists recently, when I say recently, like in the last 10 years, in terms of treatment for OCD, one of the things that they've put forward is that you can say the idea of how can I say, basically OCD, the mechanism in the brain of OCD is whereby essentially you're not giving any credence or any value to your senses, what you feel, what you hear, and you're giving more credence and value to doubts. So you like we're doing wudu. You've done wudu. You've washed your arms. You've done it. You feel the water on your limbs, but because of your condition, you don't trust that, and you still trust the doubts more. So they've put forward a treatment of basically ignoring the doubts. You could say that. So like basically whatever doubts they have, you ignore it. But that's interesting, because that was actually studied, or that was mentioned by my Sheikh Sulaiman Ruhaili back in 2002. This is before the psychologists in the West came up with the idea. He said that I'm a waswas, someone who has waswas. The only cure the ulama say is for him to ignore his waswas. So you can see there that Islam has in it, and although it's to do with salah and wudu, we have the issue of waswas, someone who has doubts about their wudu and such. That actually is OCD. And the treatment Islam already gave decades ago, centuries ago, they now are saying, yeah, this is the right move forward. So you can see Islam touches almost every element, psychology, everything, and that's actually a very amazing part about Islam. But anyway, I've spoken. I rant on. Sorry,
No, it's good. I mean, I think it's really interesting because the Prophet ﷺ talked about this, and even after his death, when the companions were being mocked about, oh, your Prophet even taught you this, and even the smallest of things, and then they would reply with, Yeah, he even taught us everything that we need to know in our daily lives. So it's not something that is just for the masjid or just for your homes.
Yeah,
It's a holistic part of our life. It's part of our identity, and you can't separate
yeah, definitely.
our Islam from our identity. It is our identity, and that's the important thing. I think that we can take from that every single aspect of our lives is governed or influenced by our deen. Essentially, it comes down to, isn't
Exactly,
it?
exactly,
And that's
exactly.
that's one of the most beautiful things about this religion. You can have a dua for literally every single thing in your day, from the moment you wake up to washing yourself, to going to put your clothes on, looking in the mirror, going to work, coming back, eating, going to sleep. You have a dua for every single aspect of our lives, pretty much, right? In our daily lives, I'm talking about. So
Mm.
every
Yeah,
aspect is pretty much covered, if not specifically, then at least generally, and with principles that we can apply.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So I mean, that's and since graduating, I've kind of continued my studies in a wider scope of things, even to do with things in physics, and I started to get back into maths again, and I started to learn about other things, psychology and economy and the rest of it. And again, almost everything that I've come across, there's always something that I find that, oh yeah, we learned that in Islam. Oh yeah, we learned that in I learned that in Medina, or I learned that from some of Mashaykh. There's always something that I'm learning
Mm.
in, you could say, in the secular world, if that's the right word to say, that you find already that Islam's already touched upon. So that's been an amazing thing
Mm.
about the whole experience, I would
Alhamdulillah,
say.
alhamdulillah, that's brilliant. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is your center that you set up, the Madar Center. Now, before we go into
Yeah,
that, because that's an interesting project, which I really, really like. When I came to visit, I really liked your setup and the way it was done. But before we go into that, I've just got to
yeah.
make a quick shout out. If everyone could see down below, we're doing, Jamal, point down, yeah, to the ticker tape, yeah. We're doing in the last 10 nights, we're doing, yeah, everybody point downwards, yeah. Well, wait a minute, where he is. Yeah, everybody point downwards, yeah. You can see when the last 10 nights we're requesting for our Dawah Center, the Islamic Diversity Center, for people to support our Dawah by texting Islam to 70085 and donate £10 regularly. £10 a month is what we're asking. If you don't want to do it on your phone, then you can go to the website idcsupporter.com and become an IDC supporter by setting up a regular donation of £10 per month to ensure that our Dawah can continue up here in the Northeast. So we've got a Dawah Center similar to what Muawiyah's got. We're going to talk about that now. So Muawiyah, over to you, bro. Tell us about the Madar Center. What kind of projects you've got there? Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that.
so as I mentioned before, we started off doing teaching Arabic. That was when we was graduating, we had some of us and the students got together, and we were thinking what can or should we do once we graduate. And everyone had different ideas, and I kind of had the idea I want to teach Arabic, because I feel that, as it was my own experience from learning Arabic, it opened up so much doors of knowledge. I wanted to do the same to others. So I wanted to give people the tools to understand the Quran, the Sunnah, and the religious texts, so they can open up the same doors that open up to me. So I came back, we set up Arabic courses, and then my wife said, "Why don't you do something for the kids?" Then we did madrasa, and they said, "Why don't we do something Umrah?" Then we did Umrah. And as the years went on, we started to add more and more and more things to the project. And eventually, the name Arabic courses didn't really fit what we were doing. We were doing everything, not just Arabic courses. So that's where the name Al Madar came from, which is basically Al Madar, like a pivot, where all different things happen in that one central part. So that's what we got. We established a charity a few years back, which is now Al Madar Charity, which we do kids activities, madrasa, Arabic. You can say community centers where people can use our facilities. You can hire our facilities, although not hiring any now because of COVID, but we can hire our facilities and anything really. We've had many people come in and do the dawah projects, education, lectures, whatnot.
How did you get the center? How did you get the actual building itself?
Yeah, so it was a new build. It was basically it was a brand new building. So when we got it, it was an empty shell, and basically we just built it out. So we designed the classrooms and the reception how we wanted it to look, and then just because we had a vision in mind, we wanted classrooms, wanted the hall for activities, wanted the reception for people to have maybe a coffee shop and toilets and whatnot, and we just designed it, and that's what we've been ever since.
You make it sound very easy, bro. Like we just got a building. I mean, obviously, people struggle even just to get a space to operate from. So how did you? What happened? What's the story behind that? How did you end up getting a building that you could actually, fit out?
It was literally as of everything, the qadr of Allah. We were looking. We saw this building, we saw that building, and as you said, it's hard because most buildings are not catered for what we want. I mean, they're either offices or they're shops or they're restaurants. They're not catered for a dawah center. So we were
Hmm.
looking, and then Sahara Grill, the restaurant, they said, "Look, we're looking at this property. We're not going to take the whole plot. Maybe what's remaining, you could take some of that." So we went there, looked around, and I said, "You know what? It's an empty place. Perfect. It hasn't got anything in it, which means we can make it what we want it to be." Now, um, in hindsight, I mean, there's no regrets, but in hindsight, if anyone else would have gone there, I would have thought, "Oh, this project is too big." But I always belittle things that are really big and making small. So I thought it was going to be like a small project. It turned out to be huge. But that was kind of what pushed or propelled me forward. My assumption that it would take me a couple of months and I'd be up and running, but it didn't. But anyway, Qadr it worked out. We're here, we're surviving. Well, at the moment, we're surviving. I don't know about post COVID, but we're surviving so far.
I have to say it's a beautiful center and the location is good. I mean, you can't get better than next to Sahara Grill, of course, right? They've got some brilliant food. British free shout out for them.
Of course.
But in fact, we have to also, because I mentioned that now, our sponsors down there, Sahil put the sponsor on Pizza and Co. If you're in Newcastle, then you can get 50% off any type of food from Pizza and Co. In the West Road branch or the City Centre branch. If you mention Fast FM discount, you will get your discount, inshallah. So I've got to give a shout out for our sponsors, yeah. But yeah, I was also saying your center, I have to say, I'm really, really impressed by it, mashallah, tabarakallah. Not only because of the way it's kitted out, it's kitted out really nicely, but also because of the types of activities. And you're very active, you've got a lot of programs going on. And I like the way that you have structured work, especially your youth work, because obviously that's what I love to, what I've always loved to do in terms of supporting the youth and stuff. And you've got a nice little youth program as well, which I was very impressed by, alhamdulillah. You got a fancy name for it. Keen on Dean or something.
Yeah, Keen on Dean. So basically, the way that started off, again, we were doing Madrasa Nursery, but it was underneath the name of Arabic courses. And again, so one of the community said, "Why don't you call it something else and focus on just the kids doing activities?" I said, "Great, let's do that." And we wanted to make it, you could say, like I mean, not to make it sound bad, but you could almost say like a Scouts kind of thing, but not Scouts. Scouts is a good project, but we wanted something more specific, more geared towards giving and delivering something unique. So we started off by doing, like you said, weekly activities, primarily trying to do something unique. I.e., once we did woodwork, then we did candle making, then we did making clothes, making jewelry. So every week it was something unique where you can't get anywhere else, to inspire the kids to think out of the box, to inspire the kids to do something original, and most importantly to breed that you could say brotherhood amongst the youth and whatnot. So that was the how Keen on Dean kind of grew or started, and then we started doing outdoor activities and the rest of it. So yeah, so after a while we just shoved everything that was to do with kids underneath the banner of Keen on Dean, and we've got a website, keenondean.com.
Brilliant.
Beautiful, bro.
Sorry, go for it, bro.
I was just having a look at the site now, mashallah, and it just looks really impressive. So yeah, may Allah bless you for the work that you're doing. Without digressing too much, I just wanted to find out, like, do you have any back with Keen on Dean? I mean, does that help to maybe address some of the youth issues that we have, like the crime and stuff like that? And how does it do that?
Well, it's interesting you mention that because so the issue of the youth, so the youth work we have at the moment doesn't really span to the older youth. So we had the younger youth. You could maybe from about, you could say 5, 7 upwards, or about maybe 15 maybe. So that's kind of what we've aimed our projects at, we have offered activities for older youth, but interestingly enough, they don't seem to be interested. I mean, if their friends are not going, then they don't want to go, and it's at that uncanny age where they only go where their friends go, and they don't want to go where their friends don't want to go.
Yeah.
Before that, they'll go and they'll make friends, but once they get to teenagers like 16, 17, 18, it's like, nah, long, man, long, and then it's it's hard. But there was some other brothers using our facilities for that age group. So I don't know if you heard of Imran Khan or Dawa Man.
Oh yes, yes.
Yes, he did like a knowledge college thing where he would use our facility center every week to teach lessons to the youth, and that was going on for a while. I mean, it was going quite well until there was an incident. Until there was an incident where one of the youth who had a past that he had left, alhamdulillah, which was good. He had a past, but he had left it, and now it was coming to Deen and the practice and whatnot. But unfortunately, some of those people from his past saw him come to the center, and then they came after him with knives, and it was a bit of an incident. So from then on, it kind of stopped. Not because we stopped it, but I don't know. They just stopped it because it was a bit hot at the time. But it just shows that really and truly, this kind of work is always going to be difficult, especially when it comes to taking youth from that lifestyle into a better lifestyle. It's always going to have that challenge of dealing with the past catching up with you, I guess you could say. And yes, you have to have patience and strive on, really.
But the good thing,
that's true.
Yeah, the good thing, sorry, AT, the last thing here, it's good. At least you've got the younger age, so obviously you can nurture them to stay away from that lifestyle anyway. So it doesn't matter that you haven't got the older one. You still, you're doing great stuff still, mashallah. Yeah.
I think we've got questions related to this. So we've got a couple of salams comments. Have we put all the comments from the salam so we can reply to them all? Yeah, from Musa Sai,
Wa alaikum assalam.
Riba Amanat,
Salam.
Salwa Abdul Razak.
Wa alaikum salam.
From all of some of our viewers, but there's a couple of questions there, Jamal, we can ask Muawiyah.
Yeah, mashallah. So yeah, how do you link general youth work with getting them motivated to get them involved in their religion?
Okay, so I mean, for me personally, it's not that difficult for me to find some avenue where Deen is involved, because I see Deen in everything. So like once we did an outdoor activity to, I think, something called Stubbers. Yeah, called Stubbers. It's like a outdoor place, you're canoeing and the rest of it. So anyway, when we were driving, to kind of keep the kids active and not bored, I just like to just talk to them by throwing out to them, say, like, give me a word, talk to them about something, and I'll see if I can add some benefit. I can't remember how it was started, but one guy said, dogs, and he mentioned something about dogs. So then I started talking about, what do you know about the ahkam of dogs? If a dog licks you, what happens? And then they start talking back, and then I made a little joke, can you eat a dog? And they said, no, you can't eat a dog. And then they said, why can't you eat a dog? And then we started talking about the things you can't eat, things you can eat. And then, as you can see, as the conversation developed, I tried to give them principles that they can take on. You can say what in Islam called qawa'id fiqhiyya or qawa'id al-kulliyya, or general principles that they can use in their life. So eventually the conversation got to, I said to them, okay, what happens if you print meat? If a printer can print off meat, can I eat the meat? And so I'll ask them a wide question, and I want to get them engaged. What their answers say this, what their answers say that, and then I try and give my own feedback. So it's kind of for me, it's kind of easy to kind of integrate something in it, because I said it's Sharia, I can always find some avenue of life to push in and integrate some of the Sharia involved. It might be a bit challenging if someone hasn't studied it to that level, but yeah, I mean, pretty much any conversation I can bring it somehow back to Deen. That's just a bit like me.
Alhamdulillah. There's another question as well, Jamal, is there?
Yeah, I believe so, yes. Aren't the 16 to 18-year-olds the critical age groups? And how do we capture and help those groups of young people?
Yeah, they are. So they are definitely the critical age groups, and like I said, we have tried to reach out to them, but or every time we've offered something, See, the thing is, the reason why they're the hardest group to reach to is because they're no longer the age where parents just send them to. As in, below that age, if they're not interested, the parents will still send them. So you know what, there's this thing here, I want you to go there, and they'll just go. But when they're 16, 18, you're not sending your kid anywhere. I mean, they might go, but if anything, their mind's somewhere else, or it's hard to motivate them. So how would you engage with those children? It's very difficult. It is definitely very difficult. And I think what you find, I think everyone has experienced something like this, is that college age and uni age is generally the age where people are awake to deen. If they're awake to anything, it'll be at that age. Younger than that age, they're just going along with emotions. But that age is, I would say, college and university, that is when their minds are switching on to certain realities. They might look, they might research. I mean, like I said, when I was in college, someone approached me about Islam. Then my mind switched on. Okay, what is this Islam thing? I started researching. Then I took Shahada. So you find at that age that you can switch on their lights, but it's something that must come from within them. There's nothing we can do to make it happen. It's something that need to switch on inside themselves. And I just concluded on one thing I heard last night. Sheikh Abdul Razak Al-Abbad, the son of Abdul Muhsin Abbad, he mentioned that he was on the way to the masjid with his dad, and some of the youth in Saudi were playing music. So he said to them, if you're not going to pray, then at least during the time, turn the music off, because this is the time that could relate to Qadr and whatnot. At least do that. And the kids were like, okay, uncle, we'll turn it off. So turn the music off. And he said to them, whilst you're here, the Messenger of Allah, the Messenger of Allah advised us that, on this night we can say there's a special dua for Laylatul Qadr. Allahumma innaka afuwan tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. So, he said to them, if you say this dua, repeat it during this time, it might be special, might help you. Maybe Allah will forgive you of your sins and whatnot. And so they said to them, do you remember the hadith? Do you remember the dua? And they said, yeah, we know the dua. He said, okay, repeat it back to me. So they weren't able to do it. So he repeated it to them a few times. He got them to memorize it, and then he left. And the Sheikh said 5 years later, when he forgot about the whole story, he was in some conference doing a lecture, and a youth came to him, practicing, mashallah, signs of deen, and he said to him, do you remember me? And he goes, when? Remember you where? So on that night, we were playing music, and he came to me and taught us that dua. He said, that night, I listened to what you said, I repeated that dua, and Allah opened up my heart, and I made tawbah, and I rectified myself. So if you can see here, it was something that he was told, but it wasn't something it wasn't forced to hidayah. Something snapped and clicked in his head, and then he chose to make a change. And that's basically it, really. You have to basically have patience with the youth, try and give them as much advice as you can, but it has to have that. It has to click in their own head. We can't force it to happen. It has to happen of their own accord. So it's just patience at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's very true. I can echo that. I've got a few stories like that as well from up here in Newcastle with some of the youth work we do. It's really powerful, and I think one of the biggest things is having patience with our youth, especially at that very critical age. It's very, very important. So let's talk about the actual topic at hand. Then we're supposed to be talking about what's happening in the world, and
yes,
not the COVID, right? Not the corona. So okay. So you've obviously what's happening in the world today. We're going through the coronavirus. Its impact on it's a worldwide event. It's pretty much impacting everybody. The Muslims in particular. Our Ramadan is different. We're not going to the masajid. We're having to pray at home. Not that it's a bad thing. I'm actually enjoying it very much, if I'm honest. But Eid is going to be a challenge. It's affecting and impacting us all in different ways. So of course that's what's happening in the world. But you specifically said it's not the COVID, right? So tell us, what is happening in the world?
Yeah. So first and foremost, that title was a bit of clickbait.
Of course it was.
Now, it's clickbait. It's when I say it's not COVID, I'm not gonna come here and say it's a conspiracy. 5G.
You want that 5G
really COVID? There's no such thing.
Tell the truth. You want that 5G
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying though
What you are saying is this is a
is
conspiracy
that
to bring down the economic system to bring Bitcoin in instead. Is that what you're
no, no,
saying?
no. No, 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 no conspiracy whatsoever.
All right, go
If
for it, go for
anything, it was actually I was thinking the other day, how can I best describe it? How I feel it is, because I don't really go for conspiracies, because I don't believe human beings have the capacity to achieve these conspiracy theories. As in, they might plan certain things, but Allah's one who plans things. You know, I don't think we have the capacity to really achieve half of the conspiracies that people come out with. But put that aside. Put that aside. The best way to describe it, and it might be a bit far out there, but bear with me. Imagine a guy who wants to divorce his wife. So he's plucked up the courage. He says, "Okay, I'm gonna do it now. I can't stand it anymore. I'm gonna let her go." So he's gone out. He's got up. He's walked to her bedroom, tell her the bad news, and unfortunately, he finds her dead. She died. May Allah forgive her. So he wanted to end the marriage, but he's found her dead. Yeah. So that's bad news, isn't it? He didn't kill her. He found out bad news. But now it comes to time to the inheritance. When it comes down to the inheritance, if you think about it, he was about to divorce her, so he shouldn't really get any inheritance. But now she's dead. He's like, "Oh, my beloved, I love her so much. Oh, I miss her so much." Because at the end of the day, there's inheritance involved now, isn't it? So the point is, he's taking advantage of a bad situation. It was got. I'm trying to say. So I'm saying, look at the issue of COVID. Yeah, it's happened. It's bad. It's caused a lot of problems globally. But let's take a step back here. If there was no COVID, does that mean the economy was good? For the longest while, and I kid you not, for the longest while, the economy was already on a downturn. Unemployment levels, but the economy from way back in 2019, it was already in the charts. Everyone was already saying the downturn is going to come. It's on the brink of collapse. It was already coming, and then COVID came. So I more see that as a case of maybe people taking advantage of the situation. Maybe they're trying to cover some of their tracks and whatnot. But I don't believe that the economic downturn is due to COVID. Let me explain why now. Let me explain now. You ready for this one?
Go on.
Okay. So we are on lockdown. You know, I think probably some companies, I think quite a lot of companies are suffering as a result of the lockdown, no doubt. But the reason why they're suffering so badly is due to one key thing that Islam has taught us about 1,400 years ago. The Messenger of Allah, Allah Himself has warned against this one thing, and there's a reason why they warned against one thing. But we live in a society that is swimming in that one thing. What's that thing? Can you think what that is?
Yeah, man.
What is it? Riba. Riba is literally everywhere.
Yeah.
A whole economy is based off of leverage. No one actually buys and invests the money they have. They buy and invest someone else's money. So the fact that we've stopped business right now, why is it? Think about it. Why is it affecting us so badly? Okay, I'm losing revenue for a couple of months. Okay, that's bad. But what really is causing it to be so bad? It's because I got to pay I got to pay my what's it called? I got to pay the people who I owe money to, which is the banks. This is where the economy starts to wind down.
The debtor,
So
yeah.
we live in the debtor. So the thing is, it goes far beyond just the issue of our relationship with banks. It goes far beyond our relationship with banks. It goes down to the actual unit of money itself. So, did you know that only 3%, just 3% of all the money in circulation is actually money?
3%.
97%, or probably just 3% of the money that we
Wow.
actually use is actually money.
Mhm.
and 97%, or probably even more, a bit more, is all debt.
Wow.
It's all interest. It's all leverage.
That's crazy.
If you was to, brother, it gets more crazy than that. But put it this way, the debt, I think it's the debt to dollar ratio in America is something like 20 something. No, I think $3,000 to every dollar.
Mhm.
There's $3,000 of debt in America for every $1 that actually is in circulation.
Man.
I don't know. It's deep.
So the fact that the economy is actually stopped is actually because the reason why it's impacts everyone so badly is because whilst the economy has stopped, the debt has not stopped. It's still racking up. It's still continuing.
Mm.
So let's bring it back to Islam. Let's not worry and whinge about what they do. Let's look at what does Islam tell us how it should happen. A true strong economy means that you have capital, you have wealth, and you use that wealth to generate more wealth.
Mm.
That's how it works. You have wealth,
Yeah.
and you use your capital to generate more wealth. And from that circulation of money, your £10 can become £12, can become £15, and you eventually grow and grow and grow and grow. But the way the system works here is that you actually use someone else's money to make money. So before you even started generating money, you've already got debt on your books. You've already got debt on your books.
Yeah.
So, for
Yeah.
example, let's take an example of Boeing. Now, this is a genuine case. The airlines in the world, they're suffering because no one's flying, and that's a genuine problem. Yeah, that's a genuine problem. You've got fleets of planes just grounded, hardly anyone on flying. Pilots not being paid. Air hostesses not working. That's a big deal. But Boeing, for the last 10 years, since the last economic crash, last 10 years, has spent 97% of all of its income, profit, buying back their stocks. Not reinvesting in their business, but buying back their stocks.
Mm.
And when they wanted to generate more business, they took out loans. So now that business has stopped, they can't make the money because they actually haven't. If they weren't buying back their stocks, they would have had money to spend to take them through this time. But rather than doing it, they take out loans. To the
they're in
point.
deficit,
This is. Pardon?
So they're in deficit basically, and they're trying to get out of that deficit.
It's deficit spending. So the joke is, I mean, the irony is, I mean, this is the irony. Listen to this. At the moment, I think it's something like $36 billion they're in debt, but their total assets, as in if they'll sell everything that they have, all their factories, their planes, they sold everything, it'd be 33 billion. So if they sold everything they have, they still got 2 billion debt.
Man.
But the joke is, the thing is, it's not that they're in debt. The thing is not it's not that they're in debt. The point is, they were making money throughout these years. They've made billions throughout the years. But rather than holding some capital, using the capital to generate business, they used it to artificially inflate the market. So what I'm saying is that the economy being so badly what it is not just because of COVID. COVID, yes, you could almost say COVID was the guy who knocked the table and knocked down the house of cards, but it was still a house of cards.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, I think that it's quite deep actually. The thing that really intrigues me though is this: that okay, we know that the interest is affecting every single person on, especially in the West, right? In the UK for sure. You've got people who don't want to be involved in interest, but they're getting involved with interest, even if they don't want to, right? But the scary thing is, even within our communities, a lot of Muslims just don't care. They'll happily take mortgages and loans with interest and stuff like this, and they're not really that bothered, essentially, even though the Quran is clear about it, the Sunnah is clear about it, the Prophet ﷺ warned against it in the most harshest terms, but people still are involved in it, and they're just happily going along with it. And on the other side, those who are practicing the religion or they're trying to avoid interest, but essentially what you're saying is they can't avoid interest.
Yeah, basically, the way the economy works, it's built around interest. I mean, it's not just the issue of like, I want to start a business. I can't do that unless I get a mortgage or
Yeah.
or a loan. If I want to get a house, I can't do it unless I get a loan. The whole economy is built around the premise that you can still do it with a loan. I mean, for example, let's look at the psychology we have here. We across the UK, forget anyone else, just do okay. In the UK, shops across the board have been told to close, so they can't do business.
That's right.
Now, the government has said, to help you out, we are going to cover you could take out emergency loans from the bank.
That's right.
So they've already said to you that you are unable to do business. There is a global pandemic. There is a national health crisis going on. And the solution is to go to the local loan shark and get a loan from him. As in, it's so woven into the society that it's a second grade. I mean, just today, just to show you how mad it is, someone called me today just to tell me something mad they discovered. If you have if you get support from the government, like housing benefit or whatever these other supports, and if you have a child who wants to study in university, and they don't take a student loan, the student loan that he didn't take is still counted as income.
What? Say that again. What?
You heard right. The student loan, as in your son, your daughter was going to go to university. They chose, I'm not going to go into riba. I'm not going to go take riba. I'm going to try my best to whatever. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, I'm not going to take the student loan. When you go for your assessment for your benefits, the student loan that you didn't take is still counted as income.
That is crazy.
You not taking it. No, because you not taking it is your fault. It's there for you to take. So take it. Basically, just take it.
We have a comment from.
Not only can you.
We have a comment from Jasmine Hijabinator. It says it happened to her. She said, "Yes, that happened to me." Wow.
That is crazy.
Yeah, because like I said,
people ask the question all the time. Yeah, the student loans, right? They say that if you take the student loan to pay for your student fees, and if something happens to you, if you die, they wipe off the debt. There's nothing owed to you. Yeah. Now, you've probably been asked this question so many times. Are you allowed to take that student loan because it's not really there? If anything happens to you, it's going to be wiped off anyway, and most people can't pay it back for whatever reason. So, what's the score with that then? If it's going to be taken,
Saleh said. So Saleh said one of the scholars said where he came here and he was asked about student loans, and he said, I need to study medicine and whatnot. I mean, you can't do that. It's taking a student loan. So can we take it? And he said, take the student loan because you need to have an education. Now, I understand what he's saying, and I do see a use case for that, especially things like medicine, those kind of courses that is hard to find an avenues other than that. But my main objection to all of this, even student loans, is the fact that there's an assumption here which I don't agree with, and the assumption is there's no other way. As in, it's not that. For example, if I said to you, if you came to me and said, "Brother, is there a situation where riba loan would be permissible?" The only case I can think of in my head where there'd be no hesitation that it'd be permissible is if you need to pay for an operation to save your life. I.e., there is no other way. It's either that or you're dead. Now, education, I'm not saying all education is no other way or whatever. I'm saying what are you studying, and is it genuinely no other way? There are apprenticeships out there. You can always work for a few years and then pay for your education otherwise. I mean, there is so many other avenues out there. What the problem is, we want the quick way. It's not that we want the only way that's out there. We want the quick way.
Mm.
And that's the main problem. You said that why Muslims are so involved in riba. Forget the Muslims. Why are people involved in riba? Is because they believe they only see the upside. When you do trading, there's a very important principle when you do trading, like you trade in markets and stocks and whatever. Very important trade is that don't just focus on the upside, as in how it can go well. You took the loan, you got your degree, you got a nice paid job, and then you paid off your loan in about a year or two. That's the upside. That's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
But what people often forget is the downside. What are you risking? So, for example, people like say to me, "Can I get a mortgage to get a house?" Yeah, if you want to get a mortgage to get the house, maybe the house will appreciate and it will shoot up in value, but maybe it won't. You need to also look at the downside. So, one point is back to the education. What are you studying? That's the first case, because maybe what you're studying, there are alternative options. For example, student loans. I'm saying not student loans. Sorry, apprenticeships. Many lines of work like engineering and whatnot, you can do apprenticeships whereby they pay you to study. So you get study and you get practical application, a practical what's it called? Workflow. Also,
experiential learning, basically.
Yeah. And also, unfortunately, and this is the reality, most people who go to university and study something don't ever do anything to do with that thing anyway. They go there to do computing and don't do computing. Or they go there to do something that's completely unrelated to what they wanted to do. And they actually say, I wasted my time. I've had people come to me and said, yeah, I've got a degree in some biology or something like that. And at the end of it, they say they wasted their time because I'm not even doing that. So you don't have to go into. I think it's a cultural thing to do. You leave college, therefore you have to go to university. You just have to do it. Not necessarily. There's so many other things you can do. Start a business, maybe. You can even learn things online. I mean, look at Elon Musk, or look at There's lots of people, successful people who have never went to university, but they had business acumen. So there's so many things you can do. I don't believe that there's always this is the only avenue. So in a nutshell, there are some avenues.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some avenues whereby there may be a case for a student loan like medicine. It's very difficult to imagine that. But even then, I've heard some hospitals are offering apprenticeships with that as well. Yeah, I even heard that some hospitals are offering apprenticeships in medicine even. So there are other avenues. I say if you don't explore those other avenues, then you will never find the answer. So,
Yeah.
Well, we have a comment from Salwa Abdul Razak. She says, regarding the student loans, she goes, "It's not true. Student loans are a debt if one dies in the USA."
Yeah, so that's the issue of the student loans being written off. That's in the UK. The UK have that law about certain amount of years and blah blah blah. But the point is, if you go back to the issue, we have to always bring our discussion back to Islam. What's the Islamic mindset when it comes to business and you can say mu'amalat, our interactions? Number one, obviously, no, Islam has prohibited riba. That's the main thing. That's a big thing. But also, number two, Islam has discouraged debts. Forget riba, the debt itself. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam refused to pray over someone who died with a debt on his head. So even the idea of taking a debt of a loan with no riba is still discouraged. It's not something which is ever encouraged. What we need to recognize is that Islam encourages production, doing something. If you want to study and become a doctor, great. Go to there's so many ways you can do it. You can do it part-time. You can work for a couple of years. There's lots of things you can do, and eventually you might get your thing. There's not one avenue, but you have to put your hand to the ground and start working, and try and come off this idea of loans can help, and there is an avenue for loans. Not denying any of that. Loans can help you set your business up and lots of things, but you can't forget the reality that it is still discouraged.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. There's a couple of other comments as well there, I think, Jamal.
Yes. What's the other one we have on there? Ariba Amanat says, if there is a will, there is a way. Everything comes back to intention. When we have intention, Allah makes ways, mashallah.
Definitely,
So,
definitely. I mean, even one brother had a question about you know, when you buy a car hire purchase, so you want to get a car, you know, and you know, buying, he doesn't want to buy an old banger every year, but you have to buy a new one because you know that's what he can afford. If he gets a nice new car, then at least doesn't have to spend, you know, money fixing the car every year. You can get a nice new car and blah 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 blah. Is that a case to get a loan? I say again, what about a lease? If you really want a new car, you can get a lease.
Police car,
But there's
yeah.
so many other avenues. There's so many other avenues where you can get what you want without having to go down the route of haram. And if you're really that desperate, maybe you can get a loan from family and then pay them back or whatever. I mean, I say there's so many other avenues, but the issue is two things. The issue is this: you want something, fair enough, and then you want it quickly. If these two things come together, it forces people to think, okay, I must do this, otherwise it will never happen. Maybe just take the time, have sabr, wait for it, and inshallah I'll reward you with that which you want, and maybe even better. Save up for it, man.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, I agree with that. I don't disagree.
So in on the issue of like I said, bringing back to the issue of the global economy. So if everyone wasn't so highly leveraged and everyone was not owing debts to so and so and so, I mean, look at Boeing, for example. If Boeing never had such a debt that was more than all they had, they'll be fine because their assets would have covered them at least for a year. Remember, the reason why they're in problems is because they're still in debt, even if they sold everything.
Yes.
Even what's his name? Even Richard Branson. I mean, that's the funniest joke ever. Richard Branson. He's got an island, yeah. Man's got an island, but yet he's still asking the government for a bailout. Does that make sense?
Doesn't make sense at all. It does not make sense whatsoever. It's crazy.
But
It's
the thing is
crazy.
that, no. The thing is, it does make sense. Listen, it does make sense. The reason it makes sense is because the island he has, the money he has, it's not liquid. It's not there. He can't just say I'm going to sell it and then get this, and he can't. He's probably got all the stuff on leverage anyway. He's probably owed the bank probably more than what he has in the first place. It's not just the guy down the road. They're all in the same boat. It's all crashing down on their heads, and that's the biggest problem. When it comes to the housing market, the housing market is a mad one. I mean, think about it. I mean, this one is really shock. I mean, it's really makes you really scary. Think about it. The housing market, all these houses on mortgage, and they can't go out to work. They can't pay the mortgage in the house. They can't pay the payments on their cars. 2, 3, 4 months is not working. Look what we're looking at. We're looking at collapse from within. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. But I mean, this is the reality. If you own the house you lived in, if you own the car you lived in, it's not so bad. But no one owns the cars what they're driving. No one owns the house they live in. It's all on leverage.
So what's the future then? What's happening? Are we going to see a collapse in the economy? Are we going to see an alternative economy coming up? What's the situation with that then? I think we've lost him. Have we, Jamal?
No, it's gone dark.
So
Okay.
no, what it was, my lights at 1 o'clock it turns off automatically. Sorry.
I was just saying, what's the situation then? It seems like all doom and gloom. It seems like that the economy is going to crash. The way that this is going on, everything's on the tick, and it's going to all come crashing down on everyone's heads, basically. Yeah. So what's the future then? What's going on with it? What's the situation?
Well, I mean, the way the economy works at the moment, there's something called the debt boom cycle. I'm not sure if you heard of it, but the debt boom cycle basically is the natural result of the kind of economy we are in now. Meaning, because the economy is stimulated by loans, you have what's called a cycle that after a certain number of years, the loans get to a point whereby the economy can't keep up with the payments, which causes people to spend less and to default, which causes the bust cycle. So when it comes to a bust, then when whoever can't pay and they've had their bust cycle, Then they
Mhm.
start stimulating the economy again with more loans, and then they had the boom cycle. So the boom bust cycle is actually a natural result of the whole system being based on riba. So when it's booming, there's loads of loans going out. Everyone's feeling happy. They're buying the cars. They're buying the houses. Everyone's getting the loans. They're feeling great. But after a few years, when enough people can't pay it back, then you have the bust cycle. So although it seems quite shocking for us because these cycles last 30 to 40 years, but it actually happens all the time. It happens over again, comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes. And it's happened that way ever since the early 1900s. But this time it's been very different because the US Fed has tried to prevent the bust cycle by printing more money. So if the government is if the economy is going down, how do you stop it from actually going down? By shoving money into people's hands. So again, as you probably heard, they just printed off 6 trillion this the other last month, and they printed off another 4 trillion this month, and they're just
Really?
printing money like no one's business, and they're giving it to stocks and bonds and buying ETFs. They're trying to push the economy back up, but that's artificial, and that's why over the last 10 years, it's actually been historic. The market has had a boom cycle for the last 10 years, which has been the longest I think forever. It's because again they keep on trying to stimulate the economy to go up and up and up. But again, when you can't really, it has to have a cycle. It has to equalize at some point. So that's why we're at the point there where it starts to equalize. But your question is the solution. Now, where do we go from here? Now, for us Muslims, what we need to do is recognize where we need to be. As in, we can't affect the global economy, but we can affect our own internal economy. Number one, we need to start looking after our finances realistically, as in acquiring wealth, real wealth, not loan-based wealth, acquiring assets that appreciate, that don't depreciate. I mean, for example, how many things do we buy that over the years loses value compared to things that add value? I mean, the rich man, they don't buy stuff that loses value. They buy things that increase in value. They buy cars that
They
over the
invest.
years gets more expensive. We buy
Yeah,
we buy cars that over the years loses value.
yeah.
So we need to, as Muslims, become such a way that if there is a downturn, we're not really harmed that much, or we can weather the bad times with the money we have. The reason we're in problems now is because we were never prepared for that, and I think that's kind of what even the wider economy is now looking at now. A lot of the economists are saying that these big companies need to start changing the way they do things. They can't just now spend, and when bad things happen, they go run to the government for bailouts. They start changing the way they do things. But on a monetary policy, on a monetary level, it's not looking good because the government printing money to infinitum, and it's not looking great. Where do you go with that? I don't think you can fix it. I think the US dollar has come to an end, and I think a lot of people, I believe, are accepting that or seeing that
But
the writing on the wall.
yeah, on a day-to-day basis, I think the average Joe probably doesn't get or understand fully what your the point you're making, which is a very sort of profound and sort of valid point. But to the average person, like, they live in their lives, they don't really understand because they put their hand in their wallet or they transfer money from their bank account, and for everyone that money is real. So they may not see the dangers or you know the cautions that you're going, you know. So for them to fully understand that, it's you know, how would you kind of make someone understand that, listen, you are on rocky ground? I mean, obviously, yes, the COVID situation, many people getting furloughed and people's businesses sort of collapsing, they understand it, but everyone else, they're probably just like, well, no, I don't really get it.
So
So
it's
yeah,
kind of what you mentioned here is that the man on the ground. What would they do? I mean, at the moment, it's not much they can do in terms of considering that on lockdown. I mean, right now, unless your business is online, then there's not much you can do in terms of like you're going to work, you're furloughed at the end of the day. But what you can do is diversification. As in moving forward, we can't fix the COVID, but you can fix diversification, i.e., income. Revenue streams need to start increasing. Passive income needs to start increasing. So, for example, maybe you have your day job, and that's fine. But as Muslims, we need to start thinking about increasing your revenue streams, doing other things rather than the day-to-day things. So, for example, there's lots of things you can look at as a passive income. A lot of people have been telling me about Amazon, selling things on Amazon. I mean, even something as simple as selling used furniture. How many things do we have in our homes that we don't use? As a Muslim, Islam spread a lot. A lot of Islam's strength came from tijara, through trade. And unfortunately, we've actually distanced ourselves from trade. We don't even involve ourselves in trade as much as we should. Trade is a massive avenue for worship and ibadah. You're seeing someone face to face. You're engaging with them with a Muslim character. You get to negotiate. You get to see value. You get to spread value. You get to increase. You could say the economic wheel from the process of buying and selling. That's one avenue of increasing your income. Also, savings. We need to start changing the way we use our funds. A lot of us, we literally our income comes in and it goes out, and we don't really spend much of our time allocating our wealth to saving and, most importantly, investing. So when it comes to what we can do for in terms of COVID-19, some people, there's not much you can do until the lockdown changes. But definitely moving forward, for especially those who have business, those who have their own business they run, looking at what's called mitigating the circumstances with something online business, definitely taking your business online. There's a group on Telegram I've joined to do with taking masajid online, because effectively this is one of the benefits of COVID, is that it's kind of pushed us to realize how fragile our economy is as it is. And I'm sure you probably realize that yourself. Now that the doors are closed, how are you really engaging with your wider community? How are you really engaging with? I'm sure even if IERA, how are you reaching the people if you can't reach the people? This is when you need to start looking at avenues of engagement with people. I'm doing business and commerce, especially online, and most importantly, investing in your intellect and learning and education.
No, definitely. I think that's some good advice. We've got a few more comments. I'm just gonna quickly read out. Ariba Aman, it says, "This is so hard. I'm seeing people who are so old and still not earning because they are not getting halal options." What's your reply to that, Muawiyah?
Yeah, so the halal, one thing in terms of economy, in economics was one thing I learned when I was studying economics. It was about the benefit of losses as well as profits. You know, when you're doing a business and you look at, I'm making profit on this one, making profit on that one, you think, yeah, this is great, I'm making profits. And we often think of losses as just something, it's a bad thing. Oh, I don't like that. But in economics, losses are as important as profits. Meaning, losses teach you and inform you what you need to stop doing. So, for example, if someone says, I find it hard to get a job, for example, I'm not saying it's easy getting a job. I'll say if someone find it hard to get a job, like maybe someone's a cab driver, for example, and they find it hard to find business in cabin, or they're in something and they find it hard to get work in that thing, then look for something else. I mean, it sounds very simple, but there are many avenues. There's always avenues out there to make money. And if what you're doing right now is not making you money, then maybe you need to start looking at other avenues to make money. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, we've kind of narrowed and pigeonholed our minds and okay, I want to make money in this avenue and I have to do it in this particular avenue. And maybe that's not necessarily the right way. I mean, I know a friend of mine, actually one of my students, his aspiration is to own a car lot. He wants to buy and sell cars on a car lot. But he hasn't got the capital to do that. So I said, how are you going to get there? So I'm going to start off doing cabin. And I'm going to save up. And when I get enough money, I'm going to buy a bit of land and then start doing car wash. Employ some workers, get a car wash. From there, I'll continue my cabin and have another revenue stream from the car wash. And eventually I have enough money to buy a few cars. I can buy and sell a few cars. And then he's already got a plan to work from small, going from the bottom, to work his way up to doing car lots.
Yeah.
He could easily say, I'm going to the bank, get a loan, and start a car lot. But he's thinking, okay, look, I want to do things halal. Let me try and work hard from the ground up start cabbing, earn some money here, then a little bit here, and then he's already got a plan here to go from there to there. So if anyone's finding it hard to make money, first thing to do is educate yourself on the various avenues to make money. And I don't believe whatsoever there's no halal options out there. I don't believe that. I think it's easy to say, but I don't believe it at all. There are definitely halal avenues out there. You just have to find them.
I agree. I agree with that. There's another comment by Sister Gigi, which is, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I think Muslims are always behind when it comes to earning money. Money is seen as evil in many places, yet it's a great way to get closer to Allah too. How many were rich entrepreneurs who have been promised Jannah? We should be walking in their footsteps. Time to take action and encourage Muslims to become rich and get out of their poor mindset. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all with billions so we can pay the zakat in millions. I mean.
Wow.
Now, that was a very good point there, because that's one of the things that I've always tried to battle with Muslims, that I've seen many Muslims have this, unfortunately, they have this bad mentality. And that is making money is somehow inherently evil. It's the complete opposite. Making money is a very, very important avenue of ibadah. Listen carefully. I've said it here. This is me telling you the truth. Making money is a very, it can be. Let's be accurate here. It can be a very powerful avenue of worship. So you can go out there and make money and just fulfill your nafs. But you can go out there and make money and worship Allah. And that is a very, very important thing. I mean, let's take this one story we all know. We all know the story. We hear the story all the time, but we don't think beyond the story. Sahaba, he left everything in Mecca. Nothing. He just had his clothes on his back and his shoes on his foot. That's all he had. He left it all, migrated to Medina, landed in Medina. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made him a brother with another one of the Sahaba. And okay, sorry, my watch is Siri. And then he got to Medina, and one Sahaba said, "Look, I'll give you half of my money. I'll give you half of what I have. You can set yourself up." But what did he say? He said, "No, just show me where the market is."
That's right.
Now, what can we learn from what he said? Number one, he was given a handout. He was told quite clearly by the Sahaba, "Here is money. You can set yourself up. It's not a loan, it's yours." But what he had was izzah. He had the acumen. He had he understood that true stability and strength comes through your hand, the work with your hand. There's one brother I knew when I first became Muslim.
I need to tell you something, mashallah, based on that story that you just told me, right? There's a very famous story about Abdurrahman bin Auf, right? And when I used to be a builder, I was fixing up a shop, and the brother he used to be in the same community as mine, right? And he's a really, really nice brother, mashallah. He used to be a millionaire, and he lost all of his wealth, subhanallah. But he managed to sort of like slowly sort of climb back up again. And so he was starting his business again, and he was getting back into money again, mashallah, just by doing trade and so on. So this is years ago, and I had recently heard about this story of the Sahaba. And I mentioned it to him. You know, he said to me, he goes, "Yes, I know. I'm his descendant, subhanallah."
Subhanallah.
And such a similar, like, you know, he had the same experience, man. It was amazing. He goes, "Yeah, I'm a descendant of him." Can't get better than that, subhanallah.
MashaAllah.
That is deep.
MashaAllah.
Yeah. Wow.
But I mean, if you look at what the scenario you have here in that hadith, what can we learn from that? Number one, and this might upset some people, but bear with me. I'm not here to offend anyone. I'm here to tell you the truth. Taking handouts can weaken you or resolve and weaken you in the long run. That is actually an economic fact. It's actually proven that a lot of poorer countries, their growth has been stunted because they got help. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but the reason being, I mean, there's one famous economist. He's now obviously well off, but he wasn't well off initially. He was very poor, And he mentions about his life in his biography how when he was studying, he used to like sometimes sleep in the park because he wasn't that very well off. But he used to spend time and find the opportunity to study. It's like this back in the 60s or 50s. Anyway, it said to him, how did you manage to come out of poverty and become wealthy or become well off? He said, and this is very important, he said, the pain in my stomach of hunger drove me to success. Unless you feel the need to push forward, you won't push forward. That's why you shouldn't always look at a bad situation as a bad situation. Like the Sahabi, he lost everything, but that pushed him to the marketplace. It pushed him to do something. And that's what we should do now. COVID is here. We're on lockdown. And we're wondering, oh no, what are we going to do? We can't work. I can't do this. No, that's an opportunity now to look, okay, if I'm on lockdown, what can I do whilst I am locked down? That should be how we're looking. We should have changed our mindset. Our mindset is not, I can't do it because I'm on lockdown. The mindset should be, okay, now I'm on lockdown. What can I do in my house instead? Could I open up a Sprock account and start selling stuff online? Could I go on sign up to an online course and start selling stuff on Amazon or doing programming? There's so many things you still could. I mean, think about it. We've been given 2 months. Think about it this way. We've been given 2 whole months to learn a new career. We've been given 2 whole months to gain a new career, to learn a new skill, to learn something new. And there's, I mean, some of us been paid for it. We've been on furlough. We're actually still getting paid. And we still can learn something new. So don't think of COVID as an opportunity, as a bad situation. It's actually an opportunity to do well. Even during the Great Depression of the 1920s in America, that was actually when the most money was made. Because at that moment, it pushed so many people to do something. Because they had to. There was no food.
Wow.
So I think the first thing is to change the mindset. The mindset is not that, oh, this has happened, therefore I can't do it. No, this has happened, therefore I need to change my strategy. What else can I do instead?
Yeah, I think I don't disagree with that. In fact, I always say to people, even if you're working somewhere, you should always try to have a little side business. Even if even if you have a little side business and it's only on the weekends, let's say you work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, you got something on the weekend and it brings you what, 200 quid a month even, right? That's still 200 quid a month that's bringing you in, right? And it gives you something that you have your hand in, another revenue stream. And then for, if something happens to your job, then you've got something to fall back on and you can build on that business. You've already got something. It's harder to build a business from scratch than having something which is already running in the background. Even if it's on a small scale, it's a lot easier to build on that. That's the point. So I do always recommend people to have side businesses if they can do that, inshallah. But and I really liked your example of that that young brother who wanted to set up a car lot. He worked his way up. Look at that, man. It's amazing the way that his mindset. I really like the mindset. That's the point here.
Yeah.
He never said I can't do it or I need to find the shortcut, even if it's haram or whatever. He had a plan. Put a plan together, and you can get to where you want to be. Basically, inshallah, with Allah's permission, with the relevant du'as and having tawakkul in Allah. Anything can happen. We know that. Just a few more comments. I think we wrap it up for the show today. Yeah. We got someone called AB. Yes, Abu Shinjan. What's Shinjan? What's that?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Anyway, Muslim BB's asking what's the solution. I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
Sister Gigi's asking our charities need to have an income revenue and also start accepting cryptocurrency as a donation method. We need to encourage that right mindset. Oh, don't get him started on this, man. We're going to be here till like Fajr time if we start.
The thing is, the thing is, I'll be honest with you. In all this discussion, I was kind of thinking, should I drop the B word? Should I drop the B word? Should I drop the Bitcoin word? Now, the thing is, the main reason why I didn't mention Bitcoin is because the thing is, what I don't want people to do, which is what a lot of people do, is they rush out into doing something about education, about knowledge. Many people think that Bitcoin is the one-stop shop to solve all their problems. And that's not the case. The way to solve our problems is what I just said: education and hard work. whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's starting up a car lot, whatever the business you're doing, you need knowledge, you need education, you need to do something. So if Bitcoin's your thing, which is my thing, if investing in Bitcoin is the thing, learn about it first before you do anything. You need to learn why do something. How are you gonna get from A to B? You need to learn whatever skill or craft you're doing before you get to that level.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't believe. I mean, I do believe. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I do believe that Bitcoin or some form of cryptocurrency will replace the dollar. I do believe that. But is that a solution for your particular problem? Not necessarily. Maybe what you need to do is get your business that you're running off the ground, generate income, and then you can think, okay, where am I going to store my income? Where am I going to store my wealth? Should I put a bit of money in Bitcoin? Should I put a bit of money in Tesla stock? Should I put a bit of money in Apple stock? Should I put a bit of money in my local butcher who he needs some money? I give him a halal investment, not a loan, an investment, because that's another thing which we don't do as Muslims, unfortunately. We don't invest our money into our community. We have so many people out there who have good ideas, but we don't give them capital to generate to make those ideas something real. So therefore, we're losing the opportunity to grow our own capital for investment. So
Yeah.
you know, definitely Bitcoin, but learn first.
All right, brilliant. Alhamdulillah. I think we're going to wrap it up there, inshallah. We've got Jamal. Are you going to give your health and fitness advice for tonight, bro? Before we wrap this up.
I actually wasn't. I was gonna do something completely different, bro. If you don't mind, it's literally gonna take about a minute or two. What it is like I've noticed, mashallah, that we have some really fantastic regular viewers on Fast FM, and in light of the fact that IDC are looking for our support to help them to continue all this great work they're doing, I wanted to enlist all of the regular viewers to becoming agents for IDC. And what I mean by that is, like, look, especially in this time of Ramadan, last 10 days, right? We could be, look, we haven't been at work because of COVID. But besides that, in Ramadan, we usually don't buy lunch anyway. So there's a nice little kind of initiative which I've always tried to implement, and which that is like giving your lunch money. So, for example, in Ramadan, every day when you go to work, you spend at least £5 on lunch, right? So you have the situation now, we're not eating anyway during the daytime. So for us all, inshallah, to donate from our hard-earned money, mashallah, like maybe like £5 or £10 towards IDC, but also to contact your contacts on social media, and also just point them towards it and just say, look, just donate even that £5 towards your lunch money just to help IDC, because look, what all this great stuff that's happening here, we don't want to see it end. We don't want to see the dawah ending. We want to see everyone just really playing a part in this. So become agents for IDC tonight, inshallah, especially tomorrow night on the another odd night, and reap the benefits, inshallah, in this life and in the next. That's what I want to do today. No health tip today, even though I did my exercise, but that's it. Alhamdulillah. Support IDC.
Man, mashallah, jazakallah khair. If you want to become an IDC supporter, then you can see it on the screen. Go to idcsupporter.com, set up your regular donation. We're asking for £10 per month, but it can be anything, whatever you can afford. It doesn't have to be £10 a month, but that's what we're looking for. You can also text to donate. It's text Islam at 7 something 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 something, and then donate £10 per month. Yeah, so it'll come on the screen in a moment, inshallah. Okay, Muawiyah, any final words that you want to give to everybody before we wrap this up? It's been a really good show, bro. I've been really enjoying that.
Likewise.
Our discussions are always quite insightful. What's your final words, bro?
I would definitely, generally speaking, what I would say to people is COVID-19, for me personally, has been a blessing in disguise in many ways. Not gonna lie, it's obviously made things very, very difficult for a lot of us. We've lost loved ones, we've lost business revenue, we've lost time, we've lost a lot of things. But also, it showed us that there's so many other things that we've also gained. I mean, this Ramadan has actually been quite amazing for me specifically because we've got out of our routine of the normal Ramadan. We've actually had the opportunity to experience a different type of Ramadan. A Ramadan where you're worshiping Allah in private. A Ramadan where you're with your family more often. It's been a very different Ramadan for me myself. So, in a nutshell, you could say that in every, as the saying goes, in every cloud is a silver lining, as they say, as in every situation, there's opportunity. So whilst we're on lockdown, we need to maximize this opportunity, maximize it in terms of ibadah, in terms of dhikr, in terms of salah. I mean, fasting, we're fasting. We need to maximize our connection as much as we can with Allah, because once the rat race begins, then it's all downhill from there, isn't it? It's back to the dunya, it's back to being distracted, back to all the rest of it. But whilst we're in our homes, we need to maximize as much as possible our connection with Allah. That's the first thing. Also, just because our mode of income has changed, or sorry, our mode of income has stopped in one way, doesn't mean there's no other avenue of income. As you probably know, the internet has exploded with online lessons and online this and online that. There's so many avenues now to make money, or at the very least, if you're not making money now, you can always learn how to make money once it's over. I mean, you can literally prepare yourself so that when lockdown is over, you can explode out of your house with something useful to the public. You have a product, an idea, a business plan. You can get yourself ready. I mean, you wake up and you can spend that time preparing yourself. Do your dhikr, do some Quran, write down the business plan, speak to people, communicate with people, phone people, make connections, phone old friends, phone old colleagues, the old schoolmate you haven't spoken to about 10 years. Ask him what is he into, what does he want to buy. There's so many things you can do right now, rather than just watching the news and watching the bad news and watching how bad it is in America's printing. Focus on what can you actually do and be productive. Be that Sahabi who said, no, I don't want the handout. Just show me where the market is, man.
Yeah, exactly. Bro, just before I forget, one of the brothers is highlighted. There's a couple of questions that we've missed off. There's two questions, in fact, that we didn't see it. I didn't see it, but there's just one of the brothers highlighted it now for me. One question from Sister Salwa before you go, is everyone has to work. So with those giving dawah, which is voluntary, how does one support himself? And then there's a second question by Ariba, which is, I started learning tajweed one-on-one in Masjid Nabawi. Ever since I came back, I'm not able to enjoy learning from anyone else. Quite painful. Please tell me how to come out of it, Ustad. So two questions. My apologies for the viewers. We didn't see that. I've just one of the brothers highlighted it now. So that's why if you can answer those two questions before you go, Brother Muawiyah, that'd be amazing, inshallah.
Yeah, so the issue of da'wah, thing is, for me, I like sustainability. That's just my personal opinion. It's not you must or have to be. This is a personal thing. I prefer sustainability. So whatever da'wah you do or you want to do, whatever ibadah you want to do, try and do it in a manner that's sustainable. If one avenue is not sustainable, then find another avenue that is sustainable. So I don't believe it's a case of what I want to do and what I can do. Maybe what you want to do is not possible, but there are things you can do. Don't feel downhearted or think, okay, because I can't do this thing, therefore I don't do anything. No, do what you can. I mean, for example, let me give you one example. Someone's working, they can't find that time to do da'wah, but there's a way you can get more reward than doing da'wah itself. How's that? Can you guys tell me? Pay for it. You're earning money. Then support someone else to do da'wah. In Allah in the Quran has mentioned in many places when it comes to this is live broadcast. I won't say the word, but the J word. When it comes to J, Allah's mentioned the paying for it before the doing it, because paying for it is more reward than doing it. Because without the paying, you can't do. So yeah, you might want to engage in the doing, engage in the da'wah, but you haven't got the time. But you can actually pay for others to do da'wah. Yeah, I mean, you can only give da'wah to one person. That's your physical limitation. You're physically limited by your person to give da'wah to one person. But you can fund 5 people to give da'wah, and you get the reward of doing da'wah. So don't get in the mindset that because you want to do one thing, you have to do it that particular way. No, because you can't do that way, just look for other avenues to get the same reward. Maybe even get better. So I would say for those who are struggling to combine between the work and the da'wah, then I would say work more and support the da'wah with your money.
Yeah,
So that
I mean
hours you would spend
that's one
doing
avenue.
dawah,
Some
do the
people,
extra hours working.
yeah. So that's one way. Some people are happy to do that, and some people even give up their jobs to do dawah, right? As you rightly mentioned, so they can do it. Many people do it voluntarily. What I normally advise is Yawar Beg actually talks about this, and he says that when it comes to giving dawah, we should be paying to give dawah, even from our own pockets. Those who are involved in dawah. So many times you'll find a lot of the brothers who are volunteering to do dawah, especially with Islamic Diversity Center. I can assure everybody who's watching, the vast majority of people involved in that, we're a very volunteer-led organization anyway. So the vast majority of people who are involved in dawah are actually doing it voluntarily. So they have their own jobs, and then they will be involved in the dawah when they're able to do that. Some people who can give more time for the dawah have their own businesses, have their own income streams, like we talked about earlier on. And I always encourage people to have their own businesses and income streams so that they can have more time to do the dawah. They've got their revenue streams coming in independently. They're not relying on handouts. They're not on benefits. They're not on, living off other people, if you like. They're actually earning their own keep, and they've got their own business. And for example, I've been involved in business for 20 years, more than 20 years, right? And it's allowed me to have the opportunity to do dawah for many, many years off my own income stream. And I've even been poor. Many brothers have been really poor, not earning an income and still being involved in dawah. So there's a number of things that we have to take into consideration. There's a number of different avenues. So one is, yes, I always recommend people having their own businesses. Number two, giving dawah where they have the opportunity, even if they're working 9 to 5. Others they might want to quit their careers and do dawah. And I think one of the most famous speakers in India, he basically makes the point. He says, and this is his particular viewpoint methodology. I don't necessarily hold that myself, but there's another avenue as well, which is, he says, if you want the best people involved in dawah, then you've got to get them to quit their current jobs, high-paying jobs and whatever they're doing, and employ them to do dawah. But you've got to match them. You've got to give them something which is going to entice them to leave their jobs to do dawah full-time, using the best minds and the best people with the best skills to do that. So there's a number of different methodologies that people can use in order to continue giving dawah. But like you rightly mentioned, those who support the dawah, you're not just supporting the activities, you're not just supporting the work that's being done or the resources that are required or the Qur'ans to be printed or the materials to be printed and so on and so forth, but you're also supporting people and their families in some cases to help do the dawah as well. So there's a number of different ways in which it can be done. I'm a very strong believer of using volunteers. This is the majority of our work is done with volunteers, actually, because I also believe that it has an impact on their sincerity, on their ikhlas as well. But that's just me. That's my personal viewpoint. But so there's a number of different things that avenues and ways you could look at that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but it makes perfect sense. But one thing mentioned again, just to add what you said there about that, if you want someone to dedicate the time and you pay them to do that, again, just to highlight to people that who are listening, who maybe are not involved in dawah, but they would love to, or maybe don't have the skills to do dawah. But because if we as a community want du'a to be out there and giving da'wah, then we need to recognize it. That needs to be financially supported, and that's why I say, like, again, look, where's it down here? Where's the button? My finger down here, everyone. Donate to IDC, because no, I'm serious. It's not just a plug-in, because like I said, even before Ramadan came, I was actually thinking to myself, what would happen to the community if, because a lot of the massages, their income, a large part of their yearly income was through the donation for Taraweeh. Now there's no Taraweeh. So how many massages are probably even struggling to pay the rent, to pay the bills? We need to really dig deep as a community and start actually putting our money where our mouth is. We need to start actually supporting our massages, our institutions, our dawah organizations, because literally, if we stop doing that, a lot of what we say should be there won't be there.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the other comment? about the started
What
learning
was the second question?
tajweed.
Let's just ahead.
I started learning tajweed one-on-one in the Masjid Nabawi. Ever since I came back, I'm not able to enjoy learning from anyone else. Quite painful. Please tell me how to come out of it, Ustad.
Yeah, so I've had this happen quite often. This happens actually quite a lot. We have sometimes even students with us. They may have studied with one teacher, and we have to switch into another teacher, and they can't. They want to go back to. They're very particular with the teachers they want, and unfortunately, it's about supply and demand. At the end of the day, what I often find happens, and this is very sad. I think it's some shaitan personally, whereby shaitan will come to a person and say to you, you know, if you don't have this person, then you can't do something. No. If you can't have this person or that person who's a very good teacher, no doubt, then second best is don't put yourself in a situation where you're not going. It's either everything or nothing. Doing something is better than doing nothing at all. For example, if you can't memorize a page a day, do half a page. If you can't memorize half a page, then do a quarter of a page. If you can't even do that, then just read the Quran every day. I mean, don't make it a case where I have to do this or nothing at all. Sometimes, for example, let me give you an example. Just the other day, someone called up the center and said, "Brother, do you do Arabic?" I said, "We do, but we're on lockdown at the moment. we have no classes at the moment, but we do have online. We can do an online lesson." He goes, "No, I can't do online classes." I said, "Okay, but I can't do classes here because we're on lockdown." So okay, I'm not interested. I said, "Brother, I mean, you can start a class online, and then you can, when the time permits, do other than that." So now I can't do online classes. My point was, what you see happen here, they've cut their nose out their face in a way. Kind of literally the avenues of khair, they've just stopped it due to a technicality, really, in a way. As in, you can do the class. You don't want to do it. You're not going to get as much benefit as you want, but you still get some benefit. So fair enough. You want maybe in this country you had a really good ustad, but in this country you can't find a good ustad. Okay, but you still can find a ustad and you still can study something. Does that make sense? Or like some people, one brother said to me, "Oh, I have to study I have to do 5 days a week, otherwise it doesn't work out for me." Yeah, I mean, no doubt 5 days is better than 4, and 4 days is better than 3, but surely 1 is better than none.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Jamal, did you want to add anything to those last
So
two?
I mean,
No, bro. No, alhamdulillah. They said it all. I mean, obviously, the Dawah one was spot on in terms of supporting the Dawah. I think that's very, very, very important, and there's no doubt about it. And just to think that how easy it is just to make a small donation towards the Dawah, and you could just be sitting down in your armchair while the work is being done, and you get the benefits, you get the rewards for everything that's being done from that person, and also from those who benefit from it as well by taking their shahada. So, 100%. SubhanAllah. If you can't, get a salary yourself and doing the Dawah, just do what you can to support it. And also, something else very quickly as well in regards to the whole situation with COVID and the poverty that may come as a result of it, and stuff like that, and the hardship people will experience. Let's not forget that by making our investments in terms of giving sadaqah, then that's another way of shielding the wealth that we have as well. So this is a time now that we should, this year, I would expect it to be like a record-breaking year of giving charity, because people want to protect the wealth they have. So anyone who's watching this now, they just jump on the bandwagon now and just start donating and protect what you got, subhanAllah. I'm sure IDC will take Bitcoin as well, donations.
Yes.
Maybe.
I have no idea how that would work and how we would take Bitcoin.
Can I add one last thing?
Muawiyah can set us up with that, inshallah.
Yeah. How's it work?
How does it work, Muawiyah? If a small charity like us wanted to receive Bitcoin as donations, how would that work then? What would need to be done for that?
It would be the simplest thing ever, brother. I mean, forget going on to PayPal or giving your name and address and your charity number and blah 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 nonsense. Just go to the App Store, download the wallet, and that's it. You can start receiving payments.
Simple as that.
The reason why receiving payments on Bitcoin is so useful for charity is because all payments are traceable. So, for example, you can have a charity address, and therefore that's public. So everyone on planet Earth will see what goes in and what goes out. So that's really good for transparency purposes. You can really show to the public this is how much money we have, and you can really say we're going to spend some of this money on this project or some money on that project, and people can see it's been spent for that kind of project. You can actually see the inflows and outflows, and anyone on planet Earth can send money to you, and there's nothing that can stop them. No government can stop them. No bank can stop them. No one can stop them from donating money to you. I just got a message the other day from a friend of mine showing that there was a guy who used to send money to Palestine, to an orphan in Palestine, but HSBC cancelled that direct debit or that sending order, sorry, and so they're not going to allow him to do that anymore because they no longer support sending money to Palestine. So the bank stopped him supporting an orphan. And that's why even in countries like that, like even in Palestine, a lot of these places are actually accepting Bitcoin because Israel and other international countries are actually trying to do a financial blockade. So to get around it, they open a cryptocurrency. So that's definitely an avenue for a charity to generate revenue. All you have to do is have a number. People can just scan the code, send the donation, and you have the funds to use if you want to use it, or you can leave it there and have, if it increases in value, you can do more with it. But I want to add one thing as well, because Jamal is here, I'm here, and I think something that is often gets forgotten, and I mentioned it just before Ramadan started. Another very, 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 very important avenue, which is not really thought about in our minds, and that is the support that Dawah organizations give to reverts. We are in a time which for many is very lonely. We don't realize it because they have our families. Most Muslims in this country are Muslim families. They got their aunties, their uncles, they got the whole support network of Muslimin. But then you have the reverts. Some of them are not even married yet. They're on their home. Maybe they're surrounded by non-Muslims. It's quite lonely. So Dawah organizations are very, very important as well to help support those people who don't have that network that they might need, especially sometimes they're helping them get married, helping them find that support, especially when they need someone to talk to. They just lost their job right now. They need to speak to someone. Supporting Dawah organizations is very, very important. And again, the thing down the bottom.
Yep.
Support IDC.
Yep. IDCsupporter.com. Basically.
So, and I hope you guys are doing a lot of stuff for the reverse up there in Newcastle.
Yeah,
Hopefully
man, we've got a full ministry support program, alhamdulillah. So we've got Brother Richard who manages that, who's doing an amazing job with the reverts there, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
Good. Okay, Jazakallah khair. We're going to wrap it up there, inshallah. Muawiyah, as always, a pleasure. We'll catch up soon, inshallah. When this lockdown's done, I'm going to meet you at Sahara Grill again, probably at some point. The end of the show now, Jamal.
Definitely, and a big shout out to Sahara Grill.
All right, brothers. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair.